All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for making your way here for this session. We are all travelers at heart, explorers at heart, but what we often look for is saving on deals and price tickets. That is something that obviously eats a lot into our travel costing. But the one gentleman here who will give us insights into how you can hack this process and get better deals. There is no better gentleman that I know of who can shed light on this. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Ajay Awtaney.
Now, the idea today is to kind of give you a bit of things to think about where you can really, I know airfares are really high nowadays. So some things that you can really work with to kind of reduce the money you're spending on tickets so that you can kind of go and spend that on food or whatever experience you really want to experience later. Now, before that, a little bit of self-brag. I run a website called LiveFromALounge.com. We're about 12, 13 years old in the business. And this is the place you go where you want to find out everything about air travel, deals, and loyalty programs, and credit cards about travel, and so on and so forth. Now, we're not going to be talking hotels today. We are going to limit ourselves to flights. Now, the first question is, how do you kind of, look for the best price on planes, on flights, really, right? I mean, because I think for a ticket that used to cost us maybe like a Bombay Delhi, which used to cost me about 3,000, 4,000 rupees maybe in 2019, 2020, now ends up costing about roughly about 7,000, 8,000. So obviously, and international is even more eye-watering. So I have a few things for you. How many of you guys have heard of what is a meta engine, a meta search engine? No? So I think one of the first places I go to when I want to start looking for my flights or start booking my flights for some place is a thing called Google Flights. Have you guys heard of it? Now, Google Flights is a meta search engine. Basically, what these guys are doing and what others in the market like Skyscanner and Kayak and everyone is doing is they're polling all the other sites, like the airline's own site, the likes of Make My Trip, the likes of Trip.com and whatnot, to give you what's the best all-inclusive price on the flight you want to buy. Okay, so for example, just to give you an example here, last night I was trying to look for tickets between Mumbai and Delhi on 1st of February. So like you can see, it looks like a website which is like a OTA website, but it gave me all the prices of all the tickets how much it was pricing. But once you click into one of them, it will tell you what's the price across various channels. If you go and book it with Indigo directly, for instance, this flight is 4,600 rupees. But if you ended up booking it with any other thing, it usually is going 5,000, 6,000 rupees. But there is this one thing called Zap Booking. Mind you, never heard of it, but it's still selling at 4,700 rupees here. So all sorts of websites have all sorts of discounts, promotions, sometimes. So what these guys are doing is polling everyone in like one quick minute and then giving you all the results in one place. So you don't have to be really a sucker for just using Make My Trip or your own airline's website in case there is a better deal available elsewhere. And mind you, this is a lot of money saved sometimes. For instance, 2 years back, I was like everyone, I think from Mumbai used to head out to Goa. I know Goa is very expensive now, but, and I was sitting at home thinking everyone's gone to Goa and what are we doing on Republic Day long weekend? And then eventually last minute, I found tickets which were about 60% cheaper than what the airlines were asking. And we ended up in Goa as well. But you really needed to, it was not available on airindia.com, it was not available on Vistara, it was not available on Indigo's website. You really had to do some of these things to find what was hopefully a good deal at that point of time to get out of the city. One of the other things you got to remember is now, there are these guys called banks, right? We all keep our money there. And they have this huge amount of money which is spent on marketing. Now, they know that people who want to kind of experience lifestyle really want to travel. So there are a lot of banks putting out a lot of money into credit card and debit card offers practically on a daily basis, you know? So just as an example, I think this is Yatra, this is Air India's own website, this is Make My Trip, and this is Clear Trip. Now there's so many banks offering so many discounts. This could be 500, 1,000, 2,000 rupees on a ticket, but there's so many banks that are offering so many discounts on credit cards and debit cards of various banks that all these OTAs have had to actually now assign people days, okay? Monday ko aapka offer chalega, Tuesday ko aapka chalega, Wednesday ko aapka chalega. So it's a fair amount of saving of money if you have that relevant credit card or debit card, and I think you should totally look around to kind of find, you know, whatever is a great deal for you, because I think like if you ended up saving 1,800 rupees on a flight, I think that's maybe one good meal at your destination, which you really could make out of it. So always go and check out the website to find, you know, what are the good deals out there. Now, mind you, this is not just limited to domestic airlines and OTAs. All sorts of airlines like Cathay and Singapore Air, they always, not always, but they usually come out with a lot of promotions as well in association with banks. But if you're the guy or the girl who really is just looking for a cheap flight to go anywhere, you know, and the destination is not of consequence, you just want to get out of town. About 3 months back, Indigo launched a very nice feature on its website. I think it's called One Click Away. So what you do here is you go on the website or on the app of Indigo, and you click on One Click Away. And you just tell them which city you are actually departing from. And it'll tell you a lot of places where cheap tickets are available. Like, for instance, this is for 11th of January. If I was getting out of Delhi, Lucknow is at 2,600, Jaipur is at 2,800, and Gwalior is at 3,000, and so on. So I can just book a ticket. Like I said, the ticket, I just want to get out. So the eventual destination is not of consequence. So Indigo's website will start throwing up things for you to know where you should be going at a cheap fare. Now, this is my favorite topic, and too bad we only have like about 20, 25 minutes to talk about it. But one of the things that I've been doing for 20 years now, and perhaps you should be doing too, is to use miles and points for practically free flights, okay? The reason I say practically free and not fully free is because you're still paying the taxes. So I think one of the big question there is, what are airline miles? Basically, every time you're traveling with an airline, not the low-cost carriers, but with like Air India or with, let's say, Singapore Airlines or whatever else, you're getting, you can sign up for the loyalty program and you'll get miles for those tickets, okay? Similarly, when you stay at a hotel which offers a loyalty program, like the Taj or the Marriott's, you get points for that stay. Mind you, this hotel stay has to be booked directly on Marriott.com, etc. It's not that you can book a ticket or a hotel on Make My Trip and then go to the hotel and say, okay, I want the points too. And then there are points that credit cards give you on spending. Now, when you've collected enough number of points, you know, and these points come to you from flying, these points also come to you from credit cards, but we're not going to talk about the credit card right now. Now, for example, if you wanted to fly tomorrow, you know, and you wanted to get into Dubai, you could be spending 75,000 rupees on a business class ticket there, okay? Or whatever, 39,000 rupees on a economy ticket there. But do you want to do that? Or do you just want to use your Air India points and go and just spend 7,000 rupees towards the taxes? Because the ticket there is coming free of cost. It's coming to you against Air India points, 46,000 Air India points. And all you're paying for is the airport taxes and the government taxes and so on. Mind you, not every ticket is available on points. I want to set your expectation here. It's not that if you had a plane of 180 people, all 180 tickets could be sold on points. 2 or 3 or 4 seats are allocated. It just so happens that if you wanted to go tomorrow, like you can see, the economy fare is already sold out, but the business class is available. Now, if I had the points, I really wanted to go to Dubai tomorrow, I would actually take this over spending 80,000 rupees in cash. So I think, and mind you, if you plan this well ahead of time, you could really get a lot of deals and a lot of free flights out of this, rather than just like this one example that I'm showing you here. Now, and it's not just something that you can do like, you know, I was talking about the planning part. even if you planned right now, for example, to go to London from, and this is Delhi because now I live in Delhi, you could be spending roughly 2 lakh rupees on a business class ticket. It's far away, it's 9 hours away. I know we can all do economy, but if you're going on vacation, why do you want to travel economy, right? You want to start with shipping the champagne and so on. But the same ticket for 2 lakh rupees can also be yours on points and roughly about 10,000 rupees in cash. So if you got it in 10,000 rupees, why do you want to spend 2 lakh rupees on the same ticket? And you can get it even cheaper. You can get it for just 3,900 rupees if you expanded your horizon. Now the same ticket, as you can see, is available. So Air India is a part of Star Alliance. That means there are 24 other airlines which have access to the same reward tickets of Air India. And you can, book it via one of these other airlines rather than Air India itself and get it for just 3,900 rupees. Now, different airlines have different rules. We don't have the time to go out and explore all of them, but this is just to seed that idea in your head. But you don't have to really fly to be earning all those miles, One of the best ways of earning miles usually is through your credit cards. I have a whole slide set later, but like you can see, there's a lot of airlines where you can just transfer your points and, you can get all these points. I'm sure we're all spending money day in, day out. If you had the right cards, the right debit cards, the right credit cards, you earn the points on them, and then you transfer them to the airlines. But one of the other ways, and which I don't think most people think of, is to buy those points directly from the airline. Now, this is one of my favorite ways of doing this, purely because, while people are looking at, oh, this is 10 lakh rupees for 10 lakh points, what I'm looking at is I can get 25 lakh rupees worth of tickets just by spending 10 lakh rupees. I don't even have to spend all 10 lakhs in the sense this is like the top end of the buying limit. I could be spending maybe 4,000 Canadian dollars just to buy enough points I need for my ticket. But you can go all the way and you can go crazy in case you had the kind of the money to hold on to these points for over a longer period. But you can also, like I said, a little ahead, you can use your credit cards to power your travel plans. I think that's the hot topic on social media. Everyone wants to do it, but how many of you guys have really used your credit card points to make a trip anytime in the past maybe 1 or 2 years? Great. So we have some people who know it all already. Now, how do you do this? Basically, you get the right credit card, then you accumulate points on those credit cards, and then you use those points. As simple as that. Back in the day, like 15, 20 years back, and I'm a dinosaur in that manner, banks used to offer you toasters for your points, or the ability to buy a handbag or a watch or whatnot. And I used to just sit on those points till they, provided the ability to use them for travel. So now, you earn the points and then you burn the points on travel, basically. That's the only way I look at it. And why? Because basically, I think that's where you get the most amount of value out of these points, honestly. Now, there are a ton of different kind of credit cards that there are in the market, okay? The cashback products, there are co-branded credit cards, there are travel credit cards, and so on. But the ones that we're really interested in are the travel credit cards and the lifestyle credit cards. Now, what are travel credit cards? Basically, some guy in some bank at some point of time decided that, listen, if you're going to spend money on travel, I'm going to give you more points on this credit card than everything else. And if you're going to spend a lot of money, for instance, on this credit card, which is one of my favorites, the Atlas, it gives me up to 2.5 times more points when I'm booking flights or paying at hotels with this card as compared to what it gives me on everything else. So, and lifestyle credit cards, again, these are sort of HNI credit cards. High net worth individuals get them, but these are cards that give you bumper points, sort of, on travel, on dining out, and whatnot. These are not cards that will shy away from giving you the the points in any manner. And then, of course, if you're an entrepreneur, you should look at some of these cards which kind of give you points for your business spends. Like you pay taxes, you get points on that. You pay GST, you get tax on, you get points on that. How many of you guys have free credit cards around here? And how many of you guys pay for your credit card? So you guys, I like, okay? Why? Now the thing is, a lot of times, and I've seen this, so no offense meant to anyone. A lot of times I am at the grocery checkout and I see people pull out, I don't know if you've seen this ICICI Bank credit card, which is black in color and it's called the ICICI Platinum card or something. It's a card that ICICI Bank by default, I think, issues to everyone who opens a salary account with them. And most probably it's offered free of cost now. 15, 20 years back, I used to pay a fee for it. Now it's free. But the problem with that free card is the bank does not have any money to give back to you in terms of miles and points and whatever else. So it's poor rewards, no perks. You don't even get lounge access with this card. But once you start, coming on this side of the paradigm, you start paying, let's say, 5, 10, 15,000 rupees, whatever for your credit card. You start getting into the good cards, right? Where you get good rewards, you get lounge access, sometimes even airport spa visits, and so on. And, hotel stays also with some credit cards. So I would say for the guys who just chase the free credit cards, please open your mind. Please start, for the lack of a better word, don't be conjuice. Get the good cards because they're going to pay you off in more multiples for the fee than just the free cards. And this is just, we're not going to talk about this, but the bank is going to, these are the 3 ways where the banks make money out of you, right? The membership fee, whenever you swipe the card, it's invisible, so not of consequence to you. The interchange, the commission the bank charges for every time you're swiping the card. And if you roll over you don't pay the card in full, then they're charging you an interest. These are the 3 ways the bank is making money off you. But then these are the perks that they're giving you, the rewards. They can call it miles or points, or they can call it just a cashback, but this is the way you're getting your money back. But a lot of times, you can get a lot more if you knew the right tricks of generating more points. So, for example, just to use the Atlas example, okay? The base rewards. So every time I'm swiping this card, for instance, if I go out and shop in the mall today, and let's say I spend 10,000 rupees on something, I'll end up getting, I think, 200 points for that because 2 points per 100 rupees spent, okay? But now, there are accelerated rewards. A lot of times, a lot of banks, credit cards will give you extra points for doing certain things. For example, American Express. If I used American Express to book my Air India tickets, which I mind you do a lot, they end up giving me 10 times the usual number of points just because I'm using my Air India Platinum card. If I ended up at the Apple store here today and I bought a new iPhone or something, now because of the deal between Apple and American Express, I'd get 10x the points. So you need to know, these are all things that are written on the credit card company's website. These are all things that are written on the merchant website. So on airindia.com, you'll very visibly see that you can get 10x points when booking with Air India and so on. And you just need to know which card to use where. Mind you, first you need to get started. And then, when you're comfortable with using your cards, if you don't, you need to switch out of UPI. You need to get into credit cards. And then once you have the good credit cards, then you need to know what are the features they have so that you can get more rewards out of it. Now, some cards will give you more points just because you spent like 5 lakh rupees on them in a year or 10 lakh rupees in a year. And then there are rewards I couldn't find a word for it, so I just called it X rewards. But every credit card issuer, the big ones at least, they will have these websites where they'll give you more points if you shopped via that website. So for instance, anybody using an HDFC credit card here? Have you ever used the Smart Buy feature? So when you go and book air tickets via Smart Buy, you're able to get, I think, 5x the normal number of points. So an air ticket is an air ticket. I mean, I'm spending 5,000 rupees to go somewhere, but if I booked it through Make My Trip, I wouldn't get the benefits. But if I booked it through this, I would get 5x the points. So it's the choice you have to make. Eventually, all of those rewards, you're not going to be able to do this, like start today and 3 months later be ready for a trip to Paris or to London, it eventually adds up. It's like a piggy bank, okay? I call your miles another kind of wealth, okay? And then you add them all up from different sources, and then you're ready to kind of, fly wherever you want to, depending on how many miles you're able to accumulate. But not like one of the misconceptions people have is that all points are created equal. So one of the questions I'm asked the most is, iska value kya hai? You got to realize they're not all equal. Some cards have 10 paisa ka point, some cards have points which are worth 1 rupee. Okay, so you can't be using them all at the same level. Your bank literature, the one that they sent you with the credit card, will give you the details, but you got to realize they're all like different values. It's like my favorite example for that is the dollar. Now, the dollar, when you talk about the dollar, you always think about the US dollar. But there's the Singapore dollar, there's the Hong Kong dollar, there is the Zambian dollar, where for 1 trillion Zambian dollars, you can still not buy a loaf of bread, but all sorts of dollars exist. So you need to know which point what is the value of that, right? Now, again, almost all the good reputable banks will also have a website where you can burn those points. So that's one way of using those points. So this is, I think, the HDFC website, and this is the Axis Bank website for all of this. But basically, what you're doing is you can look for tickets on this. Like this is like a 5,500 rupee ticket. And then, for example, my points are worth 1 rupee a pop. So I can actually use my points at the equivalence of 1 rupee to kind of take away. I don't have to then pay cash. I pay with points. Similarly, Axis Bank is 20 paisa a point. So whatever is the money shown here, for example, it says 9,800 rupees. So 5x of that, and then I can have the ticket free of cost. This is that same table with a different headline. But when you transfer those points, not all banks have the transfer feature, mind you, but when you transfer those points, your value becomes outsized. Let's go back to that slide where we were talking about, 2 lakh rupee ticket to London. It was only available for 60,000 Air Canada miles, right? So when you do the math, 60,000 Air Canada miles is actually roughly 1 lakh Axis Bank points. But when you're going to start, so obviously the value is much more when you use it as miles, airline miles, than it is when you're using it for cash, which was the previous example where you could use it for 1 rupee a point and so on. So I basically, to borrow from the Wolf of Wall Street, I call them fun coupons. These are not things, miles and points are not things with which you can buy toasters. I mean, you can buy toasters with them as well, if you really wanted to dump them and not make good use out of them. But I would rather that you kind of get on a flight, get them to serve you some champagne and get your travel started with that, rather than for you to end up using it as something you need to buy a toaster with. And this is not a one-time thing. You can actually do this over and over again. So this is just the past 10 years of my travels with miles and points. And you can go all over. I've been to Bora Bora without paying through my nose. So you can go all over, and you just need to plan to get there. So just to wrap it up, and then we can have some time for questions as well. You can buy cheap tickets by comparing via meta search engines and utilizing bank offers. But you can really get tickets next to free if you started using your loyalty programs and your credit card points, okay? Now, credit card points are fixed value, or they can be variable if you switch them into miles. So those are the 3 key ways I think you can use some of these tricks to kind of save money on travel. Rest, keep coming on to LiveFromALounge.com and follow us on social media. And a lot of trips kind of, end up dropping there.